Hello, my name's Steve Quenirland. I'm continuing on with my IRONCLADS and FLYERS video series on designing warships. Specifically, I'm revising the USS Monitor and the CSS Virginia from our Quenirland Navy concept within the IRONCLADS FLYERS game system, which is a Space 1889 universe game system. So these technologies are 1880s warship designs, represent the 1880s. So another consideration, I said I was going to do the actual warship design rules, but there's one other. Let's see here. Here, I was actually going to do the actual ship design rules. You got the naval vessels, aerial vessels, and then you have the ether flyers. The aerial vessels, these flyers are not on my to-do list, but this project that I'm doing right now, I have actually done before, and I have ether flyer. I do have aerial vessel designs and ether flyer designs. So this is a redo, basically, of previous projects of creating a fictional national naval force, aerospace and naval forces within the Space 1889 universe setting. Game world setting. Well, so maybe yes, maybe no. Back in 1980, I became an RPGer. Back in 1982, I started group playing in 1983. And 1984, I came up with the History of Quenirland campaign and the Ancient Earth campaign. They are basically parallel worlds of each other. The Quenirland campaign is based on the Red Book rules, and the Ancient Earth campaign is based on the AD&D Gary Gygax's first edition rules. Let's see here. What is this stuff? The attacker, the defender, that'll be last. Tonnages, that's mathematics, so that'll go over here. Mathematics, that'll go over here. More mathematics. Visual graphics. Over there. Naval force types, port, oceanic, coastal defense, okay. Civilian mission roles, military mission roles, warship types. And that. These. Okay. So, I'm going to talk about, I mentioned this in the previous video. I was exploring I was using Prisma 3D to create hex grids, hex maps, concerning naval vessel designs and naval combat movement. And then also there's a campaign map. Well, this pencil is a 0.7 millimeter. The other one, I found this earlier today, just actually a few minutes ago. And so this 0.7 is going to be replaced into 0.5. So I think you can see this easier. Okay, Quenirland Navy. And harbors. The game system uses the term harbors for. So, what type of harbors do we have? And that's in the campaign rules section. Blockade, neutrals, weather, battle, sightings, endurance, movement, campaign rules. Okay. Shore batteries, deep diving submarines, depth bombs, signal communications. Oh, come on. Okay, exotic weapons, zeppelins, ramming. Okay, so these are the area rules. Torpedo nets, torpedoes, submarines, towing, harbor. Okay. Pencil fell. What does this say? Okay. Okay. I think I have to go into the endurance campaign rules. I don't want to do that because I lock on camera. Some scenarios call for ships to begin the game at anchor or tied up at dockside. These ships may not fire until the crew is at battle stations and may not move until their steam is up. The only player rolls a die once at the end of each of his movement phases when repairs are conducted. One separate die roll is made for each ship at anchor or dockside. When the first 6 is rolled for a ship, its crew is at battle stage and it may begin firing its weapons. When the second 6 is rolled, it has its steam up and may begin to move. Okay. Yep. We're going to have to go to the campaign rules. Okay, let's go to endurance first because endurance is coaling stations. Endurance refers to, this is campaign rules. Okay, here we go. Okay, maps. One campaign map is provided with each campaign. Each of these maps has a hexagon grid for movement, and each hex of that grid represents 200 miles of distance. The following terrain is marked on the map. Okay. Naval base. A very large naval base facility with extensive shipyards and repair facilities. Okay, let's do that. I still have to fix this. Okay. Port. A port where naval vessels can put in for coal and limited repairs. That gives you the version I was looking for. We'll have to go into the rules, I think. Coaling stations. Minor ports where ships can take on coal but cannot repair battlers' damage. For the rest of these rules, the term harbor will be used as a collective term for all coaling stations, ports, and naval bases. Okay. Referee. One special requirement for these campaigns is that a referee is needed. A referee does not play on either side, but instead educates movement, spotting, and battles. This is particularly important in the campaign games since much of the excitement comes from hidden movement and attempts to locate your opponents. Okay, so we need coaling stations. So, we're going to go this way. Alright, movement. Formations, okay. When a player records a movement up for a squadron, he must indicate if it is moving in a search line or concentrated for battle. To be in a search line, there must be at least 8 ships in the squadron. A squadron in line has a greater chance of contacting the enemy, but many of its ships will not be able to get to the battle before it is decided. If a player has a large squadron, he may deploy part of it in a search line and part concentrated, as long as at least 8 ships are in a search line. Patrols. A squadron may be ordered to patrol instead of move. A squadron which patrols stays in the same hex, but intensely searches for enemy ships. Flyers may be ordered to move 1 hex and patrol. It is possible for a naval squadron that has flyers attached to move 1 hex while the flyers patrol the hex for it. Personal command. Each player represents the commanding admiral of the fleet in the campaign and should specify which ship he is on, he or she. This is like back in 1989. That's when this was published. There were not many female RPGers at that time. I only knew 1 female back in Victoria, Texas. Nope, not in Victoria, Texas. In San Antonio between 1995 and 1998. Actually, 1997. The player doesn't actually, and then I was in Tulsa. There was another girl in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Actually, 2. Okay. The player does not have to plot in advance for the ship he is on, or any ships moving with it. Instead, he decides each turn the formation and movement of that squadron. Okay. That's just for understanding the general concept of how the game system is being played. Endurance. Okay, this is where I think I need to go. Endurance reference to the number of days a ship can stay at sea without renewing its coal supply. For purposes of these rules, there are 2 types of vessels: coastal ships and ocean-going ships. Coastal ships include all coastal defense monitors, gunboats, torpedo rams, and torpedo gunboats. Ocean-going ships are all others. Now, within the ship design rules, the endurance calculations for the ship, especially for the naval ships, are in days. So you can your coal bunker size and your engine size determines the endurance of how many days the engine can run before it runs out of fuel. That's okay. For the air flyers, its endurance is in days. And then for ether flyers, you have ether propeller. Okay, ether flyers warships should have an interplanetary speed of at least 1. Solar boulder. Okay, you need ether flyers. You need to have each propeller has different. Okay. There are 3 types of ether propellers available: the Edison patent, the Armstrong patent, the Edison patent, the Armstrong patent, and the Zeppelin patent. Now, this game system is based on a fictional concept that Thomas Edison created an ether flyer and went to Mars and came back from Mars with liquid. And Armstrong is another, I don't know who, I forget which, what his first name was. But Zeppelin is the guy, the Graf Zeppelin, the guy that makes the German Zeppelins. I'm not sure who, I forget who the Armstrong guy is. Each propeller has different efficiency ratings. 0.25 for the Edison, 0.2 for Armstrong, and 0.15 for the Zeppelin, and a different price for, per power level. In addition, the Zeppelin propeller may only be purchased at power level 4 or less. The differences in costs and capabilities are summarized on the ether propeller table. Okay, Edison's British, Armstrong is American, and okay. Weight per power level is 1, 1, 1. Okay, power level 1 is 0.25. Okay, pounds. Edison costs 1,000. Armstrong costs 500. Zeppelin costs 500, and Armstrong costs 500, and Zeppelin costs 100. Okay. Only limited amounts of oxygen can be carried in an interplanetary vessel, and this amount is insufficient to support continuous combustion of coal. As a result, interplanetary ether flyers rely on solar boilers to supply power. The solar boiler's power level must be equal to the propeller power level. The boiler's weight is twice its power level, and its cost is 500 times its power level, as 500 pounds times its power level. Atmospheric propulsion. Ether propellers will not function in an atmosphere, and solar boilers are usually very inefficient at lower altitudes. As a result, the ether flyer must also have a conventional boiler and air screw for maneuvering at low altitudes. Okay, whatever. I've read that wrong. Select an engine size. The size of the engine times 5 is its weight and cost. Steam engines cost 2,000 pounds per engine. So you're looking at 4-strut engines here for the ether flyers. I mean, not the, yeah, for the ether flyers. Select a coal bunker size. The size of the bunker is weight and time. Okay. Endurance is in days for the conventional power. Okay. So I'm really interested in the experimental torpedo boats of the 1840s, 1860s, 1880s, actually 1870s, of 1840s to 18s, when the self-propelled torpedo was being researched and developed. And especially with the Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, I did that. So within this game says I have made representation of those experimental torpedo boats. This game system does not really do a good job of that. Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts did a pretty good job, based on what I saw in the videos. I never owned the game system. So, but Rule the Waves has a much better ship design system than what Ultimate Admiral Dreadnought has. But the difference between Rule the Waves and Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts is Rule the Waves is a text-based system. So you have basically first generation, second generation, visual graphics, quality, first generation, second, quality computer graphics for Rule the Waves, for representing the movements of the ships and stuff. Now, they have a, Rule the Waves did develop a ship designer that you can look at the ship and stuff and get something like this. Or something like this for visual graphics. And for what your ship looks like. But when it comes to actual battles, you're going to end up with this would be another example of what the ship design would look like on your Rule the Waves. But within the Rule the Waves game system, you're going to end up with something like this. Let's see here, what it would be. And something like this for your visual graphics on the battlefield. When you're doing the battle and you're commanding your ships, you're going to have something like this, something like this. Depending on how close you can zoom in on your ship. I don't know if you can, I think you can zoom in to see the gun placements. I'm not sure. I only seen half a dozen videos on Rule the Waves, and last time I watched the Rule the Waves version 3 came out. The aircraft carriers just came out, and that was about a year ago. So something like that. This would be kind of visual graphics you would have on the. Actually, this is what I've seen for visual graphics on the Rule of the Waves on your battlefield. You're going to have the layout is the data that you have for the Rule of the Waves when you're doing the battle. It's going to be similar to this. The layout is totally different data. But yeah, the same kind of data. You got your name. You may have the type, the nationality, the hull data, the hull data information, damage information, movement information, weaponry information. Basically, like these data sheets here. And then you have the visual graphics of your ship here. So, okay, let's see here. Back to coast. So, endurances and day. So within the rule system itself, the torpedo boats of the first generation, they went out. Basically, they started on the shore. They went out, dumped their torpedo, and then came back and to the shoreline, reloaded, and went back out again. So they really had maybe a maximum 1 day endurance. So they would not, you would not actually send them out to patrol or anything. So if you're doing a naval battle at a port or something, the torpedo boat would be at shore. Then you have the crew do the what I mentioned here about the movement stuff. You got blockade rules. Let's see here. A player may send one or more ships or squadrons to raid enemy commerce and coastal shipping. Whenever a ship is in an enemy coastal hex, assume that a lone enemy merchant vessel is present as well. And then roll for sighting as you normally would. If the warship sights the merchantman, the merchant is automatically sunk. The enemy player, however, is immediately informed of the presence of the commerce raider by survivors of the merchant crew and or friendly coastal watchers. Each merchant vessel which is sunk gives the player 5 victory points, which may or may not be important based on which campaign is currently being played. Repairs. Okay. Friendly naval bases can conduct extensive repairs on ships, while friendly ports can conduct more limited repairs. Certain types of damage are temporary in nature, such as jammed rudders, lifters, and are soon to be repaired by the crew at the end of any battle. Fire damage likewise has no permanent effect beyond the ability of the crew to repair, unless, of course, the fire has detonated a magazine. The 3 permanent types of damage which ports and naval bases can repair are gun hits, hull hits, and screw damage. All repair work is calculated in terms of tasks. A task is the repair of 1 gun, the repair of 1 hull hit, or the replacement of a damaged screw. The rules below indicate which tasks can be undertaken at ports and which require a naval base. They also indicate how many workdays it would take to complete each task. Each port does 1 workday per day. Each naval base, because of its dry dock facilities and extensive repair yards, does the equivalent of 3 workdays of work per day. Okay, let's see here. Damaged gun is defined as one which a damaged gun is defined as one which was put out of action by a weapon with a damage value of 1, either normally or reduced to 1 by armor. Repairing a damaged gun takes 1 workday and can be done either at a port or naval base. Heavily damaged gun. A heavily damaged gun is one which was put out of action by a weapon with damage value of 2 or more. Repairing a heavily damaged gun requires 2 workdays and can only be done at a naval base. A destroyed gun. A destroyed gun is one which was put out of action by the explosion of its magazine. A destroyed gun may not be repaired throughout the course of this game. Okay, that is the campaign. Okay, so if you have a destroyed gun, that gun is destroyed until the campaign is resolved. Flooded hull. A flooded hull is defined as any hull hits caused by exclusively by uncontrolled flooding. A flooded hull takes 1 workday to repair and repairs may be done at either port or naval base. One workday repairs all hull hits on the ship caused by flooding. Hull damage. Hull damage is defined by any hull hits inflicted by any cause other than uncontrolled flooding. Repairing hull damage takes one workday per hull hit repaired and can only be done at a naval base. Damaged screw. A damaged screw requires 2 workdays to repair, and the work may be done at either port or naval base. When a gun is put out of action, it is necessary to record whether it was damaged, heavily damaged, or destroyed. Likewise, hull hit boxes marked off for flooding should be marked off differently than those marked off due to regular battle damage. Okay. Endurance. Let's see how this goes. Okay. Coastal ships. So we can fudge the campaign rules a little bit. If we use we can alter the campaign rules a little bit for movement and endurance and stuff. By changing the scale of the campaign map from 1 hex equals 200 miles to 1 hex equals 5 miles, and or 1 hex equals 1 mile. Okay, coastal ships carry 10 units of coal each. Ocean-going ships and all flyers carry 25. Now we can, again, with these ship designs, you can change that. You can change that. Now what I do, my ocean-going ships, when I designed them, I gave them 30 days endurance instead of 25. Also, like I said, for the port defense vessels, like the experimental torpedo boats, they would have 1 day endurance, and so that would be, so they would not be active until the actual battle. Otherwise, they're just in port. They don't do nothing. Ships consume 1 unit of coal per hex moved when at normal speed, and 2 units per hex at high speed. So basically, coastal ships can have, you're looking at, assuming 2 high speed at 2 coals. You're bringing 2 coals per day, so your coastal ships will have a 5-day endurance, minimum of 5-day endurance, and at 25 coals, divided by 2, you have 10 days of endurance. 12 days of endurance. 12 and a half days of endurance. Minimum. And that's assuming you're going high speed all the time when you're out, which is not really realistic. Ships consume 1 unit of coal per hex moved when at normal speed, and 2 units of coal when at high speed. Flyers always consume 1 unit of coal per day spent traveling. Ships and flyers may replenish coal at coaling stations, ports, and naval bases. A flyer may replenish all of its coal in one day. A ship may take on 10 units of coal per day. A maximum of 4 ships may take on coal at the same time at a coaling station. Okay, alright. Okay. Alright, coaling stations. Maximum 4 ships. For naval vessels. Um, okay, flyers. No, let's see here. Multiple. Okay, exotic weaponry. I mean, rating. Once you have finished designing your altitude, speed, hull points, that consists. Okay, so flyers would definitely be. The aero flyers is okay. Then you have ether flyers. Selective coal bunker size multiplied for the purpose of this game. All ether flyers should have a coal bunker at least twice the size of their engine. Coal bunker does not cost anything to install. So, endurance is 10 times bunker size and divided by engine size. So if engine size is 1, coal bunker size is 2, that is 20 divided by 1, which is 20 days. So if you want to do a 10 endurance days, you go 1 by 1 engine size by 1 bunker size for your coastal ships. But what I do is I do 3 BS3 for each ES. Okay, atmosphere, background. This is not necessary for the game, but it's sometimes handy to know. Determine planetary speed. Determine the speed of the knots. Look at the horsepower. I'm working on the coal bunker issues here. Okay, so I'm going to assume that when they say flyers, they mean both aerial vessels and ether flyers. Okay. Ship may take on coal, 10 units of coal per day. So I'm going to assume 10 units of coal is 10 tons. And, no. Yeah, 1 unit, okay, yeah, 1 unit of coal. So your coal bunker size 1 is 10 tons, so that's 10. And then, so yeah, okay, so yeah, your BS is 1, it loads, loads 10 tons. Okay, next one, vessels. Oops. So, take on coal loading. Okay, ships consume 1 unit of coal. Oh, that's 10, okay. Ten tons. Okay, I'm going to say 10 units is 1 ton of coal per day. So if it's speed 1 with an endurance of 20, that would be engine size 2, coal bunker size 2, and that's 20 tons. So with 20 units, that's 1 ton. Okay. co-loading. Core capacity, okay, this bottom. Core capacity. One ton. One unit. Naval vessel. Refueling. Units per day. Which is 10 tons per day. Okay, maximum 4 ships. Unlimited. Aerial vessels and ether flyers. Refueling. Okay. Area reveals for refilling. Oops. All units. All core units is the core units. Now, I don't plan on doing aero vessels or ether flyers for this video series, but I just want to do this concept anyways for clarification. So that I don't have to do this again. So aerial vessels, it would be zeppelins and these fancy ships. So um, one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 20, 29. Okay. Coaling stations. One, two, three, four. Over here. There we go. Nope. Okay. IRONCLADS ether flyers. Quenirland Navy. And harbors. Ports. Okay, coaling station cannot do repairs. Right. Harbors. Okay. And there was an index, table contents, something of these, moment roll, is harbor, coming, advanced rules. I think we got to go over campaign rules here. Sighting battles, movement, weather, repairs, okay. Frame bases can ship out extensive repairs. For the rest of these rules, trim harbors can be protected by... Okay, okay, here it is. Coin stations, minor ports can take on coal, but cannot repair battle damage. No battle damage. Okay. Battle damage repairs. Hmm. Okay, so that's what we got going. So maximum. Okay, ports. There we go. Harbor. Full quality on the sideboard. Okay, 8 at a port. Okay, that's on the endurance section. Maximum is 8 ships. Naval vessels, coal capacity. Yeah, let's do that. naval vessel refueling. Coal units per day. Ten coal tons per day. This would also apply to RPG campaigns and not just RPG adventuring. And which you're not doing an actual naval ironclads, either flyers. Activities. Although ironclads actually has its own rules, there may be some variations, and you can mix and match, verify how you want, what kind of rule changes you want to make there. Unlimited area vessels. So we're looking at endurance rules. Okay. Maximum, okay. So, okay, so. Unlimited aerial vessels. All coal units per day. Unlimited use of flyers. All coal units per day. All coal tons per day. Oops. 10 cooling units per day per ship. Slash. I want to make that distinction. We got rules, lawyers, RPGers, tabletop RPGers. You gotta be very specific, otherwise, you know. So that's where I get my. But my dad was a hydraulic engineer, and when you're looking at mechanical stuff like that, scientific details, numbers and stuff, you got to be very specific. And there are terminologies that are, you know, terminologies means, you know, words have meanings, and the right terminology for the right thing, you know, the right tool for the right job. So there is a lot of people who are not into engineers. Oh, they're anal. Yeah. Okay. Down there for repairs. Ports unlimited, is it? Repairs. Let's see here. exotics. So, okay, that's campaign rules again somewhere. Where's that at? Campaign rules. Okay. Oh, game length. Controls blockade. Repairs. I got it hidden. Okay, certain types of damage. All repair is calculated in terms of tasks. A task, okay. All repair work is calculated in terms of tasks. A task is the repair of one gun, the repair of one hull hit, or the replacement of a damaged screw. The rules below indicate which tasks can be undertaken at ports and which require a naval base. They also indicate how many workdays it will take to complete each task. Each port does one workday per day. Okay. One work day per day. Okay. Basically, you want to do repair one ship at a time. Okay. Now you can do three. So maximum ships is 1. Okay. So damage gun. A damage gun is defined as one which damage gun. Okay. is 1 work day. So, okay, and let's see here. Repair, oops. Got some design rules. Okay, destroy gun. Flooded hull. A flooded hull is defined as any hull that can. Okay, flooded hull. Right. So report can we flood a hull? Oh, come on. Okay, is a one, it takes 1 work day. Per gun, okay. Okay, 1 work day per gun. Flooded hull, 1 work day per hull. Flooded hull takes 1 work day repair, and repairs may be done on either port. 1 work day repairs all hull hits on the ship caused by flooding. Hull damage. Okay. Damage screw. Okay. Damage screw repair. 2 work days to repair, and the work may be done at either port or naval base. Okay, let's see here. No, I think they only have 1 screw per hull. Damage charge. Okay, hit locations, critical hits. The vessel screws, propellers are hit, and the ship speed is permanently reduced by 1. I think it does not matter how many screws are on the ship. That is not and in the ship design, so it does not matter how many. Got the guys' rules. Okay, hull hit, crew hit, critical magazine, bridge fire, uncontrolled flooding. Okay. Boiler is critical, screws are critical. Okay, this for an critical hit. For a screw, if a ship's screw's propellers are hit, the ship speed is permanently reduced by 1. If a vessel has its movement allowance reduced to 0 due to screw hits, it may jury-rig a temporary propeller. To jury-rig a propeller, roll is fixed during the repairs part of the movement phase. A jury-rig allows the vessel to move with a movement of factor 1. A vessel may not have more than 1 jury-rig at a time. So does that mean you have a jury-rigged propeller and you get another screw hit? Does that take off this jury-rig and now you have movement 0? And therefore you are you able to make another jury rig, or that's jury rig is destroyed? You had that one jury rig and now that's destroyed. You can't do another jury rig. That would seem to indicate You cannot do a second jury rig. So screws, so it does not matter how many screws you are. Okay. Then screw repair. That's 2 work days per ship. Then screw requires 2 work days to repair. Okay. 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 And there you go. So let's see here. Naval circles have always been interested in ships that rely upon their speed as a protection from gunfire. This altitude and okay for interplanetary ether propellers will not function in dense atmospheres, and so an ether flyer must rely on conventional propulsion and lift at lower altitudes. This means that by design, all interplanetary ether flyers are capable of reaching altitudes which are considerably above the maximum ceilings of other aerial vessels. To reflect this, ether flyers have 5 additional altitude levels above high level: lower troposphere, upper troposphere, lower stratosphere, upper stratosphere, and orbital. These 5 higher altitudes represent considerably larger increments of height than do the 5 lower altitude bands. As a result, ether flyers at any of the higher altitudes may not attack or be attacked by vessels at different altitudes. Okay, of these 5 higher altitudes may not be attacked or by vessels at different altitudes. In order to move to or from one of the higher altitudes bands, okay, high altitude bands is what it should be said, and an ether must spend 5 turns climbing or descending. If an ether flyer suffers sufficient height hull damage, if an ether flyer suffers sufficient hull damage to reduce its maximum ceiling below orbital, it may not leave the Earth's atmosphere. And that's that. Okay, so let's see here. Advanced rules. Signal, deep diving, subs, death bombs, shore batteries, naval bombardment, non-exploding rounds, line of sight. Okay. So that's the exception to the otherwise ether flyers follow the same rules as aerial vessels. Okay, and we have and then we have the combat tables, hit locations. Okay, hull hit, crew hit, gun, critical. Flyer critical. This would be aerial vessels and ether flyers. And then ship critical, which is all your naval vessels. And then okay. So that's it for the, okay, where are we at? 1 hour, 45 minutes. There you are. Okay. Wow. I need to get a sheet protector for this one and that one. Just this one right now. I don't have any others. Okay. 1 of 3. Two of 3. Maximum ships repairing. Okay. Let's clarify that a little bit. Battle damage repairs. Okay. 1 workday per day. Okay. And then last site. Let's see. Come on, Dave. Yeah, I got that from Austin Powers. Come on. Well, I adopt vocabularies from various sources. Okay. Can I use the flyers? Canadian Navy. Harbors. And we go with naval bases, right? Yep. Now you see how you go like this. The lines don't mat up, so I just flip it over like that. and the lines line up. Okay, copy data. Maximum. And that's 12 naval vessels. I'm going to verify that. Yeah, 8 naval vessels, 4 naval vessels, 8 naval vessels, 12 naval vessels. Okay. Oh. Naval bombardment, naval or aerial bombardment harbors can damage both James material. Okay. Successful bombardment consists of inflicting 15 damage to coaling stations. Okay. During the course of a campaign, players may send their squadrons to bombard enemy harbors with the following effects. Coaling stations. A successful bombardment consists of inflicting at least 15 damage points on each of 4 separate locations in the town, as determined by the referee. A successful bombardment of a coaling station earns 5 victory points and reduces by 1 the number of ships that can take on coal at the same time. This reduction lasts for the rest of the game. A successful bombardment consists of inflicting at least 15 damage points on each of the 6 separate locations in town. A successful bombardment earns 10 victory points. It also reduces by 1 the number of ships that can take on coal at the same time and reduces the repair capacity of 1. Also reduces by 1 the number of ships that can take on coal at the same time and reduces the repair capacity of the port to 1/2 workday per day. These reductions are in effect for the rest of the game. A successful bombardment of naval bases. A successful bombardment consists of inflicting at least 50 points of damage on each 8 locations in town. A successful bombardment earns 15 victory points. It also reduces by 2 the number of ships that can take on coal at the same time and reduces the repair capacity of the base to 1 workday per day. These reductions remain in effect for the rest of the game. Multiple bombardments. A player may bombard the same harbor more than once. The victory points awarded for successful bombardments are only received for the first time the harbor is bombarded, and the repair capacity of the port base is never reduced any further after the first bombardment. Each additional bombardment does, however, further reduce the number of ships that can take on coal at the harbor by the same amount as the first bombardment. The coaling capacity of a harbor is never reduced below half of its original value. Okay. Invasions. Most such campaigns provide limited numbers of ground troops and naval transports. Each ground unit represents a battalion. Each naval transport can carry 1 battalion. Ground units may be landed by transports at enemy coaling stations and ports in order to capture them. Enemy naval bases may not be attacked. If there are no enemy store batteries, the ships or flyers in the harbor, no tactical naval battle is fought. If there are ships, flyers, or batteries present, a tactical battery is fought in the harbor. To successfully land its troops during a battle, a transport must move adjacent to a dock and remain stationary while the troops unload. At the end of each of its movement phases in which the transports do not move, roll a die. On a roll of 6, the battalion has finished unloading. If the transport is sunk before it finishes unloading, the battalion is destroyed. If transport fails a moral check due to crew causes, it must leave the dock and may not attempt to land its troops again that day. Once troops are landed in harbor, the troops attack the harbor defenses. The attacker must have at least 1 battalion of troops ashore to attack. The battle is resolved by both players rolling several dice. The attacker receives 1 die per attacking battalion ashore and 1 die per naval bombardment group. A naval bombardment group is any 2 ships armed with 12-inch or larger guns, or any 4 ships armed with 8-inch guns, 8-inch or larger, or a combination of 1 ship with 12-inch guns and 2 with 8-inch or larger guns. The defender rolls 1 die if defending a coaling station, 2 dice if defending a port, and 1 extra die for each battalion defending the harbor. After the total number of dice is determined, both sides roll their dice and add up the scores. The side with the highest total score wins. If the defender wins, the attacker loses 1 battalion, re-embarks his remaining troops, and withdraws from the harbor. If the defender scores twice that of the attackers, all attacking battalions are eliminated. If the attacker wins, the harbor is now friendly to him, and he may use its coaling and repair facilities. However, he must keep a garrison of at least 1 battalion in the harbor for the remainder of the game. All shore batteries are damaged, but may gradually be repaired if the harbor is a port. The defender retreats any battalion present out of the harbor into the interior of the island or mainland. The surviving defending troops are still in the same strategic hex, but are outside of the harbor. They may be used in later turns to counterattack and recapture the harbor. If the attacker scores twice that of the defender, however, all defender troops are removed from play and all shore batteries are surrendered intact. The garrison requirement is, however, still in effect. Blockades. A warship may freely enter any neutral port. In general, a ship may take on coal in a neutral port, but may not make repairs. Exceptions are noted in campaign notes. A warship may only remain in a neutral port for 7 days or turns. If warships of both sides are in a neutral port, the first ship to enter the harbor may leave at any time within the 7-day limit, and the ship representing the opposite side may not leave until the next day. If two different ships of one side entered the port on different days, and both of them arrived before the enemy vessels arrived, one could leave one day followed by the next day, and the pursuing cannot leave until the third day. Another sighting movement. Once the referee has finished moving all ships of both sides on his master map, he adjudicates sighting. Whether ships or flyers in or pass through the same hex, there is a chance that they will sight each other. Roll one die and consult the strategic sighting table on page 43. Page 43. Note there are separate columns for flyers and for ships. Add 2 to the die roll if patrolling. Add 1 to the die roll if steaming in dispersed search pattern. Add 3 to the die roll if patrolling in a search line. Subtract 1 from the die roll if either side in the hex consists of a single ship flyer. Consists of a single ship or flyer. The die roll is made based on the chances of the player with the greatest possibility of sighting the enemy. If one side has both ships and flyers in the hex, roll on the flyer column only. When a side with flyers and ships successfully sights the enemy, the flyers are never required to engage the enemy ships. Instead, they can warn surface vessels of the location of the enemy vessels and direct them to safety. If the side with the flyers and surface vessels elects to evade the enemy's surface forces, the referee should re-roll on the strategic sighting to see if the enemy finds it anyways. This roll is based on the normal chance of the enemy finding the force, but is rolled with a -1 due to with a -1 roll modification. Okay, let's do this. Movement. Each turn represents 1 day. So 200 miles. Okay. If we downgrade the we make a 1 hex map within a, you got a 200 1 hex. The campaign map is 1 hex per 200 miles, and you divide that into 1 mile hexes. The hex movement patrols, 1 day movements would be a little bit different than if using the campaign map with the 200 axis. So there is there would be all movement is plotted in advance by each player. when a ship or group of ships leaves harbor. The owning player should plot all of its movement points until the time it arrives at another harbor. This is necessary because in 1889 armors do not have radio or other effective means of quick communication with ships at sea. Record the movements of a squadron, a group of ships moving together. By recording the hex numbers it will enter each day. I used to have a Starfleet Battles map grid, and it got stolen in my 1995 theft. A bunch of other RPG stuff. Then again, it's just like these campaign maps. Oh, okay, these campaign maps are numbered. Okay. Okay, so I think we gotta go with endurance again. Where are you? Okay. Yeah, the maximum 12 ships may take on coal at a naval base. Okay. 12 ships. There we go. And we are at 211. It'll be 212 in a few seconds. 12 naval vessels. vehicle capacity. One ton equals one. Okay. One unit equals 1 ton. Okay. Naval vessel refueling. Ten coal units. Per day. Per ship. Unlimited. Aerial vessels. Air vessel refueling. All coal units per day. Per vessel. All coal tons. Per day. Per vessel. Unlimited area ether flyers. Ether fire refueling. Oops, kind of knocked that thing a little bit. Okay. And let's see here. Ether fire refueling. All coal units per day per flyer. All coal tons per day. Elder damage repairs. And there's 3 each naval base because of its dry dock facilities, extensive repairs. There's going to 3 work days per day. Okay. Maximum 6 repairing. That's 3. So now, damaged gun repair. One work day per gun. Okay, and then heavily damaged gun. Okay, heavy damaged gun repair. Wait. And that is what, 2 work days. Two work days per gun. Destroyed gun may not be repaired. Flooded hull can be repaired at, wait a minute. Flooded hull repair. 1 workday per hull. All damage repair. One workday per hull hit per ship. Damaged screw repair. Now normally this X represents the bottom of the page and I can go on the back, but I'm going to continue down here on this one. Two workdays per ship. And one last one. Well, that is it. Okay, that's not so bad. And we are now at 2 hours and 32 minutes. Okay. So, on site. Okay. Ironclads and ether flyers. Quenirland Navy. Naval Force. Okay, since Quenirland Navy is Quenirland is a fictional navy of my own creation, for the purposes of representing my own personal military tactics and strategies theories and my own military technology tactics and strategies theories. We're going to make some assumptions here. Now, this video series was inspired by USA President Donald Trump's Golden Fleet concept. But like I said, I've done this before. What I'm doing here is I've done this before some years ago, before Donald J. Trump was President of the United States of America, back in the 1980s and 1990s. Well, yeah. I got this in the I think I was in the Heritage Department, so in 1990s, yeah. So I was doing this in the 1990s, late 80s, early 1990s. So, Quenirland is a fictional nation, so there is no, we can do whatever we want with it. So, I'm going to make the assumption that Quenirland, as a nation, has 3 harbors. National information. National information. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go like this. Total harbors. 1 naval base, one port, and 1 coaling station. So we have 12 ships, 12 naval vessels for the naval base. We have 8 naval vessels, and we have 4 naval vessels for the coaling station. Now, at this time, aerial flyers and ether flyers, aerial vessels and ether flyers are not even being considered within this video series. So, total naval vessels. Will equal to 24. Okay. Okay. So, within this, so what we're going to do, okay, so right now, we're going to do within the naval vessel types. We are going to do the attacker class, the defender class, the STQ Huntley class. This is a modernization concept for the HL Huntley. The STQ Huntley has a will be steam powered, and we'll have self-propelled torpedoes for weapon systems instead of the sparring, instead of being hand cranked like the HL Huntley, and instead of having that spar explosive device. So, but it's going to otherwise have a pretty much similar shape. It's going to be barreled with a flat front and back. It's not going. Instead of being like, what is it, 2 or 3 feet in diameter, it's going to be 6-10 feet in diameter. The length probably would be increased. Let me see here. Let's see here. I grew up on this when I was in pre-K years. So before I learned how to read and write, I was looking at these pictures. So Huntley, here it's Huntley, 126, 127. (126, 127). There it is. So that's what that looks like. So it's going to look like that almost. There's going to be some differences. Let's see here. Okay, it's a 25-foot long iron boiler. Okay. So yeah, 50 foot for the hull size. So you're looking at approximately yeah. Wait a minute. That's right. And they found the ship and they resurrected it about 5-10 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. I didn't hear about it till about 5 years ago. Let's see here. Let's make this the quick way. What? 4. What? I'm missing pages? There it is. Huntley, where's the Huntley? Submarine 400. 400? That can't be right. It says 400. It's way over here. There it is. There it is. On page 79. Okay, I'm going to have to correct that. Alright, this is what it says here. This was the first submarine to succeed against an enemy. The main part of the hull was shaped from a cylindrical steam boiler with tapered ends added. That's what I'm going to do. I have tapered ends on my STQ Huntley. 8 crewmen turned a hand crank propeller. That ain't going to happen. It's going to be steam powered. 1 steered. Okay. On 17 February 1864, it sank the Union ship Historic, but was dragged down with her. It popped off. The explosion. What happened was, the explosion was close to the ship. The shock wave popped the eardrums. Was too much for the crew and killed the crew. So they did not. If they did not have a chance. If they survived the concussion, if there was no explosive concussion, they could have resurfaced. But physics. Okay, so let's look at the submarine. Type: Confederate submarine. Displacement 2 tons approximately. Oh, that's metric tons. TONNES. British tons, which is metric tons. TONS is American tons. Displacement, I can't speak anymore. Dimensions: 12 meters by 1 meter by 1.2 meters. Okay, this guy's got to be British. Amber, let's see who's Amber. Published by Amber Books, United House, North Road, London. Yep, British. Most military books that I've read back in my high school years during the 1980s was British. In fact, I can say 90% to 99% of the military books were written by British authors and published by British publishing companies. I would say 90%. I'm not going to go over 99. Okay, so we have 40 feet in length, which is, okay, 3 feet, 6 inches in diameter, and then 4 feet. Okay, I'll say 3 feet, 6, beam is 3 feet, 6 inches, and depth is 4 feet. You need to be able to sit down and crank, and so, you got to crawl in and crawl out. Okay. 1 spar torpedo. Back in those days, if it was in the water and exploded, it was called a torpedo. Launched in 1863. So it's going to be, I may knock it up to a hull size 2. May or may not. Well, yeah, I'm going to have to knock it to hull size 2 because Submarines. Submarines. Rules on submarines. Submarine rules. May be surface or submerged, periscope depth. They may change their depth at the beginning of their movement phase. Submarines may fire torpedoes when on the surface or at periscope depth. If equipped with guns, they may only fire them while on the surface. They may not fire torpedoes or any other weapons during the turn in which they are changing depth. Submarines may be fired at by guns while either surface or periscope depth. Subtract 2 from the chances of hitting a submarine with gunfire while at periscope depth. Okay, here we go. Depth. Submarines are medium draught ships when surfaced and deep draught ships when at periscope depth. A hydrofoil is a shallow draught ship unless it has lost one complete row of hull boxes or is moving at half speed or less, in which case it is a medium draught ship. Hydrofoils. Yeah. That it goes into this book, and we will see what we have for her. I saw hydrofoils in this thing somewhere. So Martian flyers. Martian stuff. Okay, where's Martian? I need to see this. Oh, we got a gyrocopter. Gyrocopters. And quick firing gun, I think that is. No, a heat ray. Okay. Let's see here. Hydrofoil. Okay, and these are the self-propelled torpedoes of the era, the 1960s, 1980s. Okay, let's see here. The guns of the air, machine guns that were coming into online before World War I. Some of the archaic weapons of the day. And some of the civilian weaponry, hunting, self-defense, and some military infantry. And I want to show the fashions of the period and tents of the period. I like these tents. If I want to get a tent, I want to look like that. Even these modern day tents is like, yuck. And so Yeah, so that is the Space 1889 Victorian Age steampunk, basically, RPG system. So, and let's see here. There we are. So this is what I'm working on right now. Now I have, like I said before, I've done this before. So I have a merchant trader. I had a merchant ship, and yeah, the cargo tug, carrier, utility cargo tug, UTC, yeah, it's a utility cargo tug, which is I had a utility cargo tug cargo ship, which is basically a merchant ship. It's an 18 hull. It's the it was the 90 ton mass divided by 5 equals 18 hull length ship. Okay, and that was this is how big is big, basically. And then so that was the this is the mercantile ship. It was used as a mercantile ship. It's a tug and is used as a civilian cargo transport port tug, and it was also utilized, for the military for armor, coal transports, and stuff like that. Then there's a variation of that was the like I said earlier, I was interested in the experimental torpedo boat designs. So the Huntley is not that. So they're called the Tunas. There's two of them. The Tuna class torpedo boat, and then the Salmon class torpedo boat. Now the main difference between the two torpedo boats, the Tuna represents the earliest design of this, so they have fixed tubes. And they had conventional engines. The Salmon class is an upgraded version of the Tuna class with deck tubes. And with 4 Strahd engines. Within the Ultimate Admiral Dreadnought scheme, okay, I'll show you what that's all about. There you are. Okay. So these are torpedoes, launchers. A fixed tube would either be in a ballast aspect stern aspect, port aspect, or starboard aspect. The deck tube would be either in this aspect or that aspect. If it was on the port side, it'd be over here, and the starboard side would be over here. So you cannot fire straight ahead and cannot fire behind for the torpedoes. And if you go to the ship design mechanics, you have exotic weapons, deck tube, it's 5, and a fixed tube. Let's see here, ordnance, special guns, finding. Okay, alright, let's see, oh, that's in the ship design rules. We got the armament, exotic weapons. Player may install a variety of exotic weaponry, the use of which is described in advanced rules. Torpedo tubes are installed in place of guns. The number of allowed battery of guns is actually combined of allowed battery guns and torpedo tubes. So, like I said, like in my first 2 videos, hull size 4 ships. You're going to have the attacker is going to have 2 broadsides and 1 forward and 1 stern. Those can be replaced with torpedoes instead of 4 guns per 2 guns per side and a bow and a stern. Wait, 3 guns per side. Wait a minute, how is that going to work? Oh yeah, you're right. You can have a total of 8 guns, so you can actually have 3 in the middle and then 2 in the front. 1 in the front and 1 in the back. So you can have 3 in the middle. You can replace all of those guns with torpedoes. It'd be a torpedo boat that with fixed torpedo launchers. Or you can say instead of 3 broadside guns, you have 2 broadside guns and a torpedo tube. Or 3 bow gun, a stern gun, and 3 broadside torpedo tubes, or 1 broadside gun and 2 broadside torpedo tubes. That's you can do variations on that on the attacker. But what I'm going to do is pure all guns so that's how the torpedo armament works. And the torpedo armament, you can have a fixed gun or a deck gun, deck tubes. The tubes are installed in place. There are two types of deck tubes, torpedo tubes. There are two types. There are two types of torpedo tubes: fixed tubes and trainable deck tubes. Deck mounts, correction. Each fixed torpedo fires into one firing aspect. Deck tubes may be trained at different angles to engage targets. Fixed tubes, bow tubes, stern tubes, and midship tubes cost $100 pounds per tube. Deck tubes cost 200 pounds per tube. The torpedo tubes weigh 5 tons. Space for torpedo reload weighs 5 tons and costs 50 pounds per reload. Due to limited deck space, no ship may have more hill rocket batteries, barrage balloons, and or tether mines than its hull size number. Okay. And again, torpedoes are listed under exotic weaponry. Okay. So what else? Then other warship designs I had is the Shark class submarine. Which is a deep diving submarine. And I had a torpedo boat tender called the Dolphin class. And the purpose was to carry the tuna class submarines, torpedo boats. Then you had the Porpoise class, which is the upgraded version. Basically, again, conventional engines, and then the Porpoise class has 4-strut engines. And let's see here, what else did I have? Then there's the Treaty class. Torpedo turret battleship. Or which is actually pre-dreadnought, but yeah, with these guys, with this area, it's called turreted battleship. And basically, what this does is it's a battleship design that fits within the confines of what's been pre-existing battleships designs within the game system, and it follows those conventions, but it has my own armament and set up. And then you have the Goliath class battleship. And which goes with how big is big. you know, how big can I make it? So this basically it goes by the it is also, but I tried to put 18-inch guns on there. It is also a 90 mass divided by 5, which is an 18 hull size vessel. And let's see here, you know, and then I went into looking at what I had for other ships design, and to fill out the fleet, I ended up with light cruisers, armored cruisers, and some other stuff. So the attacker is is broadside ironclad. The defender class is a monitor ironclad. Let's get rid of this. And so this is basically did that. So there is, well, right now this video series is on this and this and this. And so this is a 90 mass divided by 5, which is an 18 hull size. So basically what I can fit onto this the Goliath is how big is big. Now you can, like I said in the first 2 videos or previous videos, you can go with 90 mass divided by 8.7, 8 plus 7, 8, and then the result is 11, and then plus 7, which was equals to okay, that was correction, yeah, which is hull size 11, which has a mass of 88 plus 7, which is 95 mass. You can also go with say that you have hull size 12, which means you got the 7 instead of, that'll be 7, that's 92, 94. This is the 8 plus 7. This is the 7 plus 6. So it actually be plus 2. So this would actually be an 8 plus 2 ship. And this is 94. This would be a 7 plus 6 ship. Which equals to let's do this again. $88 plus 7 equals 95, which is illegal. So you have to go with 88 plus 2, which is 90. Which is 90 mass. So you can do 7 plus 6. Okay, and then, so, but then, yeah, so, but you have with, so there's leeway, and there's a lot of leeway with, and how the Goliath would compare to a hull size 11 mass 90 and a hull size 12 mass 90 would be different. The performance between Goliath and these two more standard 90 mass warships would be well, these are not standard, but yeah, it's go okay. So this okay 8 250 times 8. 2,000 tons. Okay, that's an a-hole. 8 times 8 is 64. And then plus 7 is 71. So if you do, if you follow the conventions that on the within here, that would be the maximum you can do on a hull size 8 with a 60 with an 8 by plus 7. The maximum you could get is a 72 hull ship. 71 71 mass ship. So yeah. Oops. Okay. So let's see here. That is. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 warship types. Out of 24 limit. That's not a, not a very good flexibility. So there, I probably would go like scratch that out, and then once I do then upgrade the tuna class to the with the salmons, and upgrade the dolphin with the porpoise. So this would be 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. Yeah. So that's that. Your battery is running low. Yeah. And I'm pretty much done. So for this video,